an unlimited ammo, ridiculously high damage fusion in PvE, and an actual potato in PvP. I'm Lego Flash, and this is Cruoris FR4, the new world drop aggressive frame fusion rifle for Destiny 2 Heresy. Yes, we're finally doing it. We're talking aggressive frame fusion rifles after only having one in all of Destiny 2 for over 4 years. They have reworked how these fusion rifles work completely, added 2 new ones to the perk pool, and the results are, well, I'm blown away. I personally think Cruoris is the best all-around legendary fusion rifle in PvE. Maybe not for specific utility with champions like Riptide or survivability like Scatter Signal, but the fusion I'd take with me anywhere, from dungeons to GMs, ad clear to boss damage. The reason is a combination of how the damage actually works with the frame changes and the incredible perk combos that complement them. So let's start with the rework and perks and then talk the exact god rolls you're looking for. Aggressive frames used to be a 7-bolt horizontal burst. They would fire all at the same time, had decent damage in PvE, but suffered majorly from the spread of those 7 projectiles. While terrible in PvP, it was occasionally okay in PvE because the damage numbers were alright on paper. The problem was even missing 1 or 2 bolts caused a massive decline in damage, and you also had super outdated perks to work with on the only aggressive frame available. In Destiny 2 Heresy, Bungie updated aggressive frames to fire 12 bolts at once in 3 packs of 4 bolts each. I say at once, but it's really like 3 frames for them to come out one right after the other. The best way is for you to just see it. But the point I'm trying to make is that it makes it feel like the burst of a normal fusion rifle, and it makes it to where you can control the recoil on them a little bit. But you cannot control how spread out the bolts are, just how the 3 groups spread vertically. They're still spreading out, with the first group of 4 being the tightest and the last group of 4 being the widest. I think a lot of people were expecting it to feel like Bastion, but it feels much more like a normal fusion rifle, just horizontal spread. So, how's the damage? Really, really good. Looking at Mossy's outgoing damage spreadsheet, we can see that aggressive frame fusions are almost neck for neck with the top DPS fusions, rapid fires, for bosses, champions, and mini-bosses. That's great, but what's super interesting is when you scroll over a bit to elites and minor enemies, you see that aggressives are outputting significantly more damage against those enemy types. If you didn't know, not only does activity type scale how much damage you do, but occasionally your weapon may perform better against certain types of enemies. All the other fusion frames kind of stay in their lane across the board, with rapids being at the top of kind of everything. But aggressive frame fusion rifles are now factually the best fusions for ad clearing, which is perfect because they do fire horizontally to hit several enemies at once, and you can feel that extra damage. I swear, there are times where I know all my bolts aren't hitting an elite and Cruoris just wipes them out from across the room. It is so strong. And don't let that be your only takeaway, because having near the same boss DPS as rapids is huge. When you add any kind of buffed reload to Cruoris, you're at nearly exactly the DPS of a buffed reload rapid fire fusion. The damage is nearly identical. And all this is at base. We haven't even gotten to the utility and damage perks yet. So okay, perks, get ready for some magic. For the Cruoris FR4 perks, there is so much to love. In the 3rd column, oh my gosh, y'all, we finally got Discord on an energy fusion. Unlimited ammo from thin air on the strongest ad clear fusion out there. Ridiculous. We got normal options too, but let me just emphasize how great this is. When enhanced, you get a single kill from another weapon, and you have 7 full seconds that you can backpack the perk and wait to swap to Cruoris to activate Discord. And when you do swap, another 8 seconds to use Cruoris with infinite ammo returns every time you get a kill. Bungie did confirm that the timer was bugged at the beginning of this season, and so it was starting before you swapped weapons, but even with the bugged version, it's amazing. So keep in mind, if it feels fast, it's going to get a lot easier to use once they fix the perk. Just to give you a quick picture of how useful Discord is here, outside of the great PvE damage on enemies, add in Rolling Storm in the 4th column. I saw Saint from Podcast vs. Enemies giving feedback on this, but while Rolling Storm feels fresh with Bolt Charge, it's a kill perk. It requires you to use a ton of ammo to get kills and gain stacks of Bolt Charge. With Discord, you can stack up all the bolt charge you want incredibly fast with this fusion and get all your ammo back so it doesn't feel so strict using it on a special weapon. In fact, I never feel bad at all using my special weapon for adds when I've got Discord rolling, no matter which perk we land on for the fourth column. And even if you don't like Discord, we've got awesome normal reload perks. Threat Detector can nearly max out your reload stat, and when amplified, Eddy Current will get even faster than 100 reload stat thanks to its 0.95 times reload duration multiplier. Clown Cartridge and Stats for All are fine alternatives, and no one is really sure how much energy recycled energy will give yet since it's hardcore bugged, but ultimately, I'm gonna push you to Discord, Threat Detector, and Eddy Current anyways. In the fourth column, we talked Rolling Storm already, great specifically when paired with Discord, but I want to point a massive sign towards Elemental Honing if you run lots of different energy types or just run Prismatic at all in PvE. Elemental Honing has got a bit of a bad rap with people saying it's difficult to keep track of or it's just easier to use bait and switch, but let's cover two things here real quick. One, the ridiculously long timer. When enhanced, this is a 23-second damage buff that refreshes every time you add a new element, and you don't even need kills, it's just damage. Number two, the amount of damage you get for how easy it is to activate. With my regular prismatic setup, ×3 elemental honing, which is 20% damage, basically control burst, is a given at all times. That's like 46 seconds ago I threw a melee, then 23 seconds ago I shot an enemy with my hand cannon, and now I'm swapping to Cruoris and ×3 is just there, because I did those two other things an eternity ago. Then if I even slightly think about it, just put minimal effort into what I'm doing, I'll throw a grenade at some point, which put the timer back up to another 23 seconds, and now I'm at ×4 elemental honing, which is 30% damage. That's 5% more damage than a full mag reservoir burst buff, of which you only have full mag shots of. I've got elemental honing for 23 seconds. And oh wait, I just realized I haven't shot my heavy yet, or maybe my super. Boom, back up to another 23 seconds at ×5 with a 35% buff. And even if you're not thinking of any of this, it just happens. And the synergy with Discord on the third column is unreal. But even if you're not down with it, you just stick with one energy type, no worries. I've got Rolling Storm, and even if you don't care about that, you can opt for something simple like One for All. Same high 35% damage buff, you just have to have more than one enemy round, and the timer only lasts for half as long. The last thing I want to point out for PvE here is that successful warm-up Discord combo could be pretty hilarious. Just holding down the trigger and letting those speed charge shots fly with infinite ammo. It's the one roll I didn't get, but something you might want to just try out if you get it. Before we move to exact god rolls real quick, I have to call out Barrel Constrictor and Kickstart for PvP. I got so many people messaging me, Barrel Constrictor on a fusion, have you tested it? Is it as broken as it sounds? And listen, maybe it would have been if it were on any other fusion than this one. Yes, it does tighten that spread, but it does you zero good in the Crucible, not just because it's hard to hit people 5 meters in front of you even with the perk active, but because you need a kill to even get the perk going to begin with. And good luck getting a one burst with the new aggressive frame fusion rifles. They feel awful. So I took the approach the opposite way. Surely I could stack Radiant and Kickstart to get the bolt damage high enough so that it could become consistent at least for one shot. No, there's no saving this one. It's truly one of the worst PvP fusion rifles I have ever used, ever. So let's go back to PvE. What would be the Cruoris FR4 PvE God roll? For me, I'm looking for a charge time masterwork. Remember, that one doesn't actually decrease damage, it just gives you a faster charge time. Fluted barrel, enhanced battery, enhanced Discord, and enhanced elemental honing with a tactical mod for that bump and reload when I need it. And I got close with my roll. I got the charge time masterwork, Discord, and elemental honing with the option of Rolling Storm, so this is pretty much the only one of these I'm going to keep unless I just get my perfect god roll. If I was going to whip this out for pure boss damage, I would probably go Threat Detector Elemental Honing, but if I'm going pure boss damage and that's all I'm thinking about, I'd probably stick with something like Overflow or Slice with Control Burst on Scatter Signal, so I'd for sure hit every bolt. The thing is, I don't play Destiny versus just bosses, and my special weapon is usually just a complement to my heavy and super anyways, so that's why I'm so confident saying my God Roll Cruoris is the best fusion rifle I've ever used. It's the best damage against adds, has infinite ammo to do so. Seriously, I was doing the GM for Pally and I think I ran out of ammo once the entire time. And it can stand up to boss DPS with rapid fire fusions. And it just has the constant elemental honing buff up for my setup. I have a near guaranteed 20 to 35% buff up at all times thanks to that refreshing 23-second timer. For the Cruoris PvP God Roll, don't. This is a new low bar. This is disappointment waiting for you. I think even people who like the old aggressive frame feel in PvP are disappointed with the rework for PvP. There is nothing you could do, no stat to push that will make this fusion feel better for you. I tried everything, and the closest I got to a suggestion was feeling like maybe recoil and stability were worth speccing into, because it did feel like some small changes there helped you keep the 3 bursts of 4 closer together vertically, but it doesn't matter because they're still spreading out horizontally. Bungie did say they gave aggressive frames an automatic further damage fall off distance than what normal fusions are, but it doesn't matter. You're not landing the bolts for that damage fall off to make a difference. Literally, choose any perk combination, it will not make a difference. You know what taking this fusion into PvP did do for me? It made me wish I had an aggressive frame heavy fusion rifle. The ideal situation for a horizontal burst would be hitting lots of enemies at once, right? But right now that damage is so minimal per bolt right now that you could never take out multiple opponents this way. That hit me when I had a moment playing Iron Banner where I turned a corner and at least 4 players were in view, all stacked relatively close together, just off the spawn, and what I wish would have happened is for the horizontal burst to do a wide, super high damage burst with hardly any range. But of course, that would never be acceptable as a special weapon. Even if you toned down the range, what would be the point of shotguns? Except there'd be no charge time. That just seems really hard to balance. But that moment showed me that I wanted that feeling, and a heavy weapon with a destructive short-range horizontal burst would be perfect for that. Maybe one day. All in all, despite dipping further down in PvP, Cruoris more than evens itself out in the end thanks to its performance in PvE. I will gladly take a PvE only fusion I actually enjoy using over having it be okay in PvP. I don't know if I've ever shared this on my channel before, but I actually don't love using fusion rifles in PvE. There's a few that are fun and contain some utility, but I'm always so focused on the ammo situation, and Bungie has created such crazy explosive PvE weapons as alternatives that fusions frequently fall short on the fun factor for me. I do think something like Resounding, the other aggressive frame with subsistence and reservoir burst, can be really fun, but it's only fun in the lowest tier content. Cruoris is a blast everywhere. It's so strong, and it's not fun because of explosions, but it's fun because I can use it without worrying about my ammo count and the am I going to have enough when it comes time to damage the boss. That's just not a factor. So what do you prefer? Explosions? Big damage? What do you think about Cruoris? Would you take it over the classic Riptide or Scatter Signal? Both serve amazing utility, but maybe you'll give Discord or Elemental Honing a shot. Let me know in the comments. This has been Lego Flash. Until next time, GG.